Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Look, my setup, not the same. Clearly, I'm somewhere else. Your boy's on vacation. He's enjoying life. You know what I'm saying? I thought to myself, hey, it's time to enjoy. Let's enjoy. So, right now, I am still in the hotel, but I am in a very, very nice, closed off patio type of area. I don't know how to describe it. We have amazing trees. We have areas where we can sit outside, like balcony type areas. You have an area you can walk around. It is beautiful. We have it looks like Christmas lights. They're like red and orangish, but they're kind of like hanging in the middle of nothing really, from like one sector to the other. Beautiful. So many trees, so many plants. Got it, guys. Can make sure to enjoy the summer. It is beautiful, right? It is beautiful. It is very hot. Also, it is very hot where I'm at right now. But you know what? Let's jump into the markets. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want a portfolio review, or if you simply want to be up to date with the markets, then make sure to join the community. Highly recommend it. But listen, right? Let's jump right into it, because price action has been really, really weird. Now, I will say one thing, okay? Clearly, with the global liquidity, we have not been following it to the T, like the way we were some time ago, right? When we were pulling up global liquidity, we knew that everything was perfect, like up to date, right? This point over here was, let's see, I should go on the weekly. Remember, right? This green candle over here, this was the last 91 days from the global liquidity top, and then there was a fake and slammed down. And then from the same thing, from the bottom of the global liquidity, right, this red candle was the final bottom candle, fake out and go back up. And then literally we were following it perfectly, right? We were following it perfectly, perfect, right? We expected the tops to be right over here, right? We expected the tops to be right over here. Then we expected a sell candle, so perfect. And then we expected some type of fake, right? We expected first to fake out, and it did. It faked out. It took out all of this, right? It took out all of this. And then what? Oh, low battery, ladies and gentlemen. All right, don't worry, your boy still has some 19% left, so good enough to complete this video. But anyways, man, let me tell you, we wiped it out. We started to recover. We didn't push as much as we wanted to, or how much we should have, to be honest. Then it was a little bit of a red flag, but it wasn't too crazy, because we were perfect. We were literally perfect since what? Like beginning to mid-April, right? And before even global liquidity, we called out this move. We literally called it out in Discord. We called it out on the channel that this was going to get wiped out, and then we're going to reverse. And then we started to follow global liquidity probably around like this sector over here. I don't remember the exact time or anything. But man, everything was to the T when we back tested it, right? When we were forward testing it in terms of seeing how it's playing out, everything was perfect. And then Monday started off so strong, right? And we're like, all right, this is it, right? This is it. And then Tuesday gave us a very, very, reversal type candle. And we're like, wait, what is happening? And then war tension started to happen, right? A couple days later, what was like this sell candle over here on the 12th. I believe that's when officially the whole war broke out. Maybe even technically on the 11th, but I'm pretty sure it was the 12th. And everything kind of just shifted from that moment officially, right? It just kind of shifted, and we can see price action has been so dodgy and terrible. It really, really has, and it hasn't shown any type of lifeline at all, right? And when we have gone up, right, all we did was simply go back into this zone to sell lower, right? We sold off, and again, when we pulled up, you can literally see with your own eyes, we just barely pulled up just to slam lower. Very, very annoying. Very, very annoying. There's literally, I mean literally, no signs of any life. I hope you guys still see me. Let me pull it up a little bit. But man, let me tell you, these crypto markets, some people say the summer is bad. When we look back, which we'll look back in a second, right? Like, yeah, last summer was fairly slow, was fairly bad. But I mean, when we go look at other things like, just the context of the market, the global liquidity, how things globally were changing for the positive, I don't expect this summer to be bad. And when we go to something like a higher time frame, right, this is very, very important. Right now, we're still solid, but we still have roughly, it's less than 10 days. It's roughly like what? I don't know when June officially ends. I'm going to be honest. I think it's 31st or the 30th, but it doesn't matter, right? We pretty much have like 8 to 10 days left, right? And we need this 3-month candle to actually end pretty well, right? We need it to end well, because if we actually start selling off aggressively the last week or so, we end up like one of these candles, right? If we end up like a candle like this or a candle like this, right? It's probably not going to be to this extreme, but that's not going to be ideal at all. I'm not joking right now. From a pure technical analysis standpoint, that is going to be genuinely trash. Okay, because the difference was in November, had a different type of pattern, a different type of, the way we're just trending. We were just kind of consolidating diagonally, right? We were just kind of consolidating diagonally. And we saw it in the weekly that we were actually closing higher and higher, like practically the last 2 months. All right, we could actually see from this point, we actually created a higher high, right? Because we had a high here and we created a higher high here. And then when we sold off, we created a higher low from this low. And we can see it started to really shift from already like September. And of course, higher high and a higher low. And then eventually we just exploded, right? Very not ideal. And the fact that we have a 92K gap, man, let me tell you, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, that's very annoying. It's extremely annoying, because if we have to go and fill that up, right, at that point, it's just bigger than the gap. It's like, sure, we can create a reverse head and shoulders on a higher time frame, which is actually it's still very, very bullish for us. But everything's going to get dragged longer, because that means Bitcoin still is probably going to cycle out, and then it most likely will create a higher high. If it starts to go up here and it starts to fail, right? And this is a very specific scenario. If it starts to fail, then that probably will mean there's going to be a shift in altcoins, altcoin dominance, and everything. Right, if we actually go look at Bitcoin dominance, go to BTC.D, right, we talked about how this is the most important chart for Bitcoin, or sorry, not Bitcoin, for altcoins. And we can see we have been also, this thing has been so choppy and so bad. I mean, it still shows in the data consistently that we are trending up. We are consistently creating higher and higher highs, are pretty much consistently higher and higher lows, right? I would say we could even technically go back here, just as long as we close above this, and then we again close higher, then we are still trending up. But man, it just, everything kind of slowed down. I do want to see a huge rally to the upside again. I do want to just get this over with personally. I've been enjoying the vacation life. I've sacrificed, at least for myself, from my end, a lot. Just been pumping money into crypto, made certain life changes, sacrifices. And honestly, man, this cycle, I'm kind of over this. I think all of us just want to cash out at this point. Yeah, I think all of us just want to cash out. Like, we all want to see certain prices get hit. I still believe that most of the price targets that people talk about, I mean, depending who you're listening to. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my computer died. I was not paying attention to battery life. And yeah, but like I was saying previously yesterday, I think most of us are just mentally tired. I'm not so mentally tired, because I still know how this has to play out for altcoin season to happen, right? We have to still get Bitcoin dominance all the way up until roughly that 70% zone. And it's not necessarily about the 70% zone, okay? There's just a very high probability of seeing some type of reaction off of the 70% zone, more or less. But what we're waiting for is the big move, right? We're waiting for a similar move that happened in 2021, right? The end of 2020, beginning of 2021, where we just crashed heavily for a couple of weeks. You know, we went like minus 11% in dominance, right? We went from all the way from, let's just say 74 to like 62 and a half. So it was over 11% in a couple of weeks. And of course, then we went sideways, consolidated for a massive breakout to the downside, right? And now we're just waiting for the exact same thing. It's just taking really, really long. So yeah, ultimately, nothing has changed since we've been making videos on this channel since beginning of 2024 practically. We're still waiting for the exact same thing. It's just unfortunate altcoins are not holding just as well though, right? Because like, yeah, of course the dominance has been going up over the last couple of months, but if we're being real, like, Bitcoin's at almost at 104,000 and render's at $3, for example. And render was also at $3 back in November of, mid-November of 2023. Okay. And what was Bitcoin at in November of 2023? Yeah, this thing was like at 38K, right? So we're up like 3 to 4 times the amount of money for Bitcoin, but render's still the same, for example. And so are many other coins. And it's like, yeah, I know Bitcoin dominance is going up, but what this means is like the amount of money, the total market cap is just not really going up that much, right? Because even if Bitcoin dominance was rising, but the money was rising even more, it wouldn't matter. Like, I'll give you an easy example. If we had 50% dominance, we had $1 million in the market, right? If that means 50% of that money goes into Bitcoin and the other 50%, let's just goes between altcoins, like that's one thing. And then if we have 70% dominance, okay, so in the first scenario, you have 500K going to Bitcoin, 500K in altcoins. And then if you have 70% dominance, but there's $10 million in the market, that means 7 million is going towards Bitcoin, right? And 3 million is going towards altcoins. So altcoins still see an average of 6x, you could say, right? Just based off these scenarios. But our total market cap has just been sidelining and going down for majority of this time over the last year and a half. Sure, there's been times where it's gone up, but it's just been disappointing. It's just been disappointing. I am still super bullish ultimately at the end of the day, but like I said, like if you told me altcoin season is going to start happening now, or like the Bitcoin dominance starts crashing, and then this whole like everything plays out within like a two to 3 month span, and like let's say render does go from $3 to even like $70, I mean at this point I might just take it because I've been enjoying my life. So you know what I'm saying? If I could have this like every day, I ain't complaining. But yeah, ultimately that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.